Welcome to the show, Bowels of the Damned, presented to you by Dyce Reacts. We got a hot one today. One shot, one arrested at Sterling Heights Assisted Living Center. Now, I have further details on this story, but we're gonna watch this clip and we're gonna hammer it down after this. So let's just dive right in.
We're following breaking news out of Sterling Heights, where police say a husband shot his wife in her work parking lot. That shooting happened at the Pomeroy Living Center on 15 Mile near DeQuinder. Gino Vici has an update on the victim's condition and the investigation.
Yeah, this is still a very active scene behind me. Take a look at this. Look at the bullet casing markings on the ground here. Sterling Heights police saying around 8 o'clock this morning they received a 911 call that a woman had been shot in the parking lot here at the Pomeroy Living Center off of 15 Mile near DeQuinder. We're told an employee was shot by her husband in the parking lot. We're told they both lived in the city of Warren and that the husband came up to his wife's employer and shot her several times. Police thankfully were able to respond to the scene within seconds. The wife was rushed to a nearby hospital where she is still alive. Police encountered the husband, who was armed with a revolver, and were able to take him into custody. Here is Captain Mario Bastianelli talking about the moment officers encountered the gunman.
Like I said, our officers were here, very quickly. So, which makes all the difference in the world of somebody with a gun and they're actively shooting at people. So this happened to be a targeted incident because it was a domestic situation. But you never know how these things are going to transpire, right? How they're going to work out. Officers show up, you have a guy with a gun, Does he go peacefully, or does this end up, turning into a shootout with our officers? It's a, very stressful situation on everybody, including our officers arriving. All in all, a good ending to a bad situation.
Again, we're told the female victim is expected to survive despite being shot several times in the body. And again, her husband has been taken into custody. No word yet on when he could be charged. In Sterling Heights, Gino Vici, CBS News, Detroit.
Yeah, this story is a sad story in and of itself. And I read further into the news that allegedly, it's not confirmed, I can't really confirm it, but allegedly he found out that his kids, 3 kids, were not his. That's some devastating news, man. And basically he crashed out, like they said. He crashed out, and some people handle it so different. You never know how you're going to react in a situation like that, or any situation, especially where there is emotional attachment in there, and especially a lot of time that have been spent building trust and financially as well, because you're building a life with someone, and that's the last thing you would ever expect to find out, and especially under what circumstances as well, which makes it even more wild. This is not justified for what he did to the wife. Everyone has to be held accountable for the actions, including him and the wife, because a secret like that can only end 2 ways. Most of the times it's gonna end the way that you wouldn't expect to end, especially when you think that someone is really in love with you. It's one thing to have 1 kid you found out that's not yours, but 3, just diabolical. What could even make it worse? As if, can it get even worse? Yes, it can. If the kids that you thought were yours have 2 or 3 different fathers, this is just gets worse and worse and worse. And I would never wish my worst enemy to be in a position like that. I can't even imagine what thoughts that was running through his mind at the time. You have to be almost like numb, almost like have some type of possession inside of you to not feel guilty. And if you do feel guilty, you're gonna have to suppress that in some way It's either you're going to continue doing that activities, be diabolical, get yourself hooked on some substance. You're going to use reverse psychology on the guy because you're going to hate to live with yourself. And you have to find a way to justify that over and over in the relationship. And the man is not going to know why are you behaving that way. That's what's going to happen. And that's what happens most times in relationships where people use reverse psychology. They're attacking you because they're doing exactly what they think that you're doing on them without you knowing that they're doing it. That's what happens most of the time. And I'm thinking about from his perspective, the man's perspective, the husband's perspective. But what about the children finding out that's not their dad? That's going to be earth-shattering to the kids as well. They're going to have a hard time accepting that. So we might look at it on the man's side, but what about the children? And does she even know the children's father? Does she even know the children's father? That's another thing. And usually, if the woman knows the child or the children's father, she usually gives that child to a man that's responsible, because he's going to have to bear the burden of her bad decision. They don't give a man that's not family oriented that child. So the good man is going to pay the brunt of her decision. Yeah, that's what happens most of the time. 1 to 3% of men are raising children that they think are theirs. 1 to 3%, that's a lot. And it's stated that for those men that are suspicious and they have an inkling that something is wrong with the kid in terms of maybe facial features, or maybe they hear rumors and they were just suspicious that it might not be the kid or the children, 20 to 30% of the time they're correct. Can you imagine that? 20 to 30% of the time they're correct. When I saw that, I was like blown away. And I know a few people that are raising children that are not theirs. Yes, they are not my friends. I know them, but they are not my friends. Some are married and some are living with the individual. And man, and there are some of their friends that know that and they never tell them anything. And I can't judge them, because sometimes you don't want to break up what's going on there. Everything looks like a happy family, so you say nothing. So it happens more than people think. It's just not talked about, it's hushed. Yeah, it's one thing to know that a child or children are not yours, but you decide you want to raise them and be a father to them. This is one thing. But this right here is another thing. This is diabolical to the highest degree. I just hope none of you guys out there are one of those damned. Until next time, peace out.